Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on the video. My name is David Pendleton, and this is going to continue my Tour 8 series. We're going to be covering Eagle Peak, hole number 2, which is a shootout. And this is a really fun shootout to play. As you can see here, we're going to be playing this hole at 30% elevation. And if you have a sniper 9 or 10, in any crosswind or tailwind situation, we're going to be playing a rough bump that not a lot of opponents go for. If we have any type of headwind, we are going to be bouncing towards the pin. Okay, and that's going to set us up for the best case scenario on how to win this hole. Now, I'm going to go through some replays. I'm going to show you pretty much every single wind angle you can get hit with on this hole. That way you can see the consistency, and there are a couple little tricks and tips on this hole that I'm going to share with you. Please become a subscriber to my channel if you're not a subscriber already. I'm going to do tour walkthroughs, and I already do a lot of tournament content. And if you find this video helpful, please do me a favor and take a half a second there to hit that thumbs up button. If you want a fast way to find all of my tour play content, you can just go to my channel and go to the playlist section, and there you're going to see a very organized folder of all of my content. And spread my channel to your clanmates. I think I can help you guys all win at a very high rate. And, the higher that you can win percentage-wise, the more CP you and your team are going to win. So, now here's what you're going to see is you're going to see me play this hole with a navigator, okay? And that is basically the ball that I use on every single hole in Tour number 8. If you would like more of my Tour 8 strategy, you can click the link in the description area below, and that's going to go through a lot of different things that I prepare for Tour number 8. But by using the same ball, it allows you to kind of memorize your landing areas and puts you at a big advantage over your opponents who might be switching out a lot of balls. So, if you use a Kingmaker on this hole, and then maybe the next time, you go into a shootout with a Berserker, or you go into a shootout with a Katana, it's all going to play differently because they all have different values. But no matter what ball you use, okay, you're going to be able to play this hole the exact same way that I do. So let's hop into it right now. Now you can see that the first video that I'm showing you is Tailwind with Crosswind. So again, if you have a sniper 9 or 10, you're going to play this rough bump every single time with this ball. And all we're wanting to do here is get our ball guideline to go to the pin. The thing I don't want you to do is be applying topspin. Topspin can make your ball roll too far out of the rough and come onto the green too fast. You can see here that in most cases, I'm going to play this rough bump with applying no spin at all. If you're using a more powerful ball, you might have to apply a little spin, and you might have to get used to that. But as you can see here, a navigator is plenty. In fact, in my opinion, a navigator being a power 1 ball, wind resistance 2, is the absolute best ball to go into this hole shootout with. Now, the only exception is if you play with money balls, of course, like a wind 5 power 1 ball. That would be best case scenario. But as far as all the balls that you can play for free with, in my opinion, this is the best ball to play this shootout with. Okay, so here we have the opposite. We still have the tailwind, but now we have the wind pushing from left to right. We're still going to be setting up our ball guideline going to the pin, as you can see here. We're just basically aiming directly center of the pin. We do pull this at 30% elevation. We are pulling this at absolute maximum distance of our sniper. As you can see here, 5.6 miles per hour was a little bit more than 7 rings. So, if you're a player who plays the sniper 1-for-1, you would be way off if you're playing that hole like this. And I'm just showing you all shots here that are within a couple of yards from pin, because more times than not, that is plenty enough to win this hole. Now here we go with a little bit more of a headwind, okay? And remember, I said in any tailwind, we're going to be bouncing towards the pin. Now the only difference is we still play this one at 30% elevation, but instead of maximum distance of our club, we're actually going to play this one at medium distance of our club. Okay, so remember, any headwind, we're going to be bouncing towards the pin at 30% elevation at medium distance of our club. Now there's one trick here that a lot of opponents don't know, and this is going to help you win this hole at a high rate. And I'm not saying that right off the bat you're going to get the hang of it, but over time you will. I want you to notice here that I am applying a little bit of backspin, okay, which you might think is weird considering that we're getting headwind. But I want you to notice here that I'm playing to the left of the hole because this green, it actually slopes from left to right, and we're going to take advantage of this slope. So notice here, I'm about 2 green squares left of the pin, and I also want you to note that my ball guideline is past the hole, okay? It's past the hole. And you want to put it a little bit past the hole just because you're getting headwind. So if you put it right at the hole, you know, you're going to fall short because the wind is going to push you backwards. But in this situation, it's only 3 miles an hour, so I don't have to put it that far beyond the pin for this shot to work. Now you can see here, the ball comes in at a curve and it slopes towards the hole. And we put this one very close to a hole-in-one, so 1.18 yards from the pin. And like I said, you know, more times than not, that's going to be plenty enough to win this hole. Now here we have more of a direct tailwind, okay? We're almost at 6 miles per hour, but nothing changes for me. You can still see that I apply backspin, even though we're getting a headwind push. And here I'm just moving my target around, trying to find that little slope there. Again, my ball guideline is past the pin. .30% elevation at a medium distance pull of our sniper. Perfect ball, always crucial. And we get that one dead center for a hole-in-one. As you can see here, the speed was really good. So it's not like we got lucky. Let's say that we would have missed that shot. It would have still been within, you know, probably a yard or two because the ball was coming at a really nice, smooth roll. It wasn't coming in hot or anything like that. So here's a much more challenging wind. Here we're at 8.5 miles an hour. That's getting on a higher end scale of what you could get hit with on this hole. Now here, I'm still wiggling my ball guideline around. And as you can see here, because of how high the wind is, you know, let's roll this back for just a second. Look at because of how high the wind is. Look how far my ball guideline is beyond the pin. And if you don't know what I mean when I say that, then let's take a look here real quick. Oop, too late. So let's go right here, pause. And remember, I'm only doing this because of how high the wind is, but there's the pin. Pin's right there. And look at the tip of my ball guideline. It's about 2 squares beyond the hole. I think that's important to note because you're going to get a high wind push here at 8.5 miles an hour with headwind blowing back at you. So that means when the ball touches down, that wind comes into effect again. So even if you pull your rings correctly, you have to factor in the secondary wind push, which is happening right here. And that challenging of a wind, that's going to win the hole almost every time, being that close. So now we're still dealing with headwind, but now instead of the wind blowing from left to right, it's blowing from right to left. So we have a different crosswind approach, but my setup is still the same. You can see here I'm always playing the left-hand side, and I'm wiggling around until I see that curvature at the end of my ball guideline. Now having a more developed sniper is definitely going to help you out. And if you want to know how to develop your sniper at a very quick rate, again, in the description to this video is a link to my Tour 8 strategy, and I tell you how to level up a couple crucial clubs very fast. But you can see here, that ball comes down and it curves towards the hole, which is always nice. And here we have crosswind. Okay, so in a crosswind situation, we can continue to play the rough bump. You know, the one thing that I should have noted on the rough bump, and this is why it's important to listen to my videos in full, is because sometimes I come up with little nuggets. You always want to leave yourself about 1 ring of room for error. And what do I mean by that? So notice here, my yellow ring is up against the rough line, okay? I don't want to move my target too much more over to the right, because if I do, I leave myself no wiggle room if I accidentally hit a great shot to the right. Just so you know, on this hole, if you go for the rough bump and you do hit a great shot to the right, you could miss the rough entirely, which is going to send the ball flying to the back of the bunker there, and you're just going to lose the hole. But if you execute the rough bump correctly, you're going to win the hole almost every single time. And a great shot to the left could really slow down the rollout to the rough onto the green, which could leave you really well short. So a rough bump perfect shot is really crucial, but it is the best way to get close to the pin. And it's not a shot that a lot of opponents play. And here we go. So here's a much more challenging win. This is about as bad as it gets, okay? 10.5 miles an hour on Tour 8 with the Navigator is almost max wind. Now, because we're getting just a slight flicker. Now, look how I have a slight flicker of headwind. You know, we're not going to be able to play that rough bump because we're not going to be able to move our screen around and pull that many rings. So again, ball guideline is beyond the pin, especially when you're getting, you know, a wind this high. This has to be pulled at 30% elevation at mid distance of our club. You know, I really do hope you're finding this video helpful. And once you get this shot down, you're going to have a lot of success on this particular tour. Spread my channel to your clanmates. And if you'd like to support my efforts and the time I put into these videos, you can do so via a PayPal donation. And you can find a link to my PayPal in the comments section below. You know, here is another one. So this one, a little bit different of a wind. We're at 8.8 miles per hour. Now this is tailwind mixed with crosswind, so we're going to play that rough bump. In this situation here, you might need to mess around with the spin a little bit. But as you can see, I'm aiming a little bit to the right of the hole. That's called offsetting. Just because we're getting such a high wind push, I know that the wind will push me back towards the left-hand side. And those are little things you'll just get comfortable with, and it'll really improve your game quite a bit. But it comes in a little hotter, you know, but like I said here, we're still a couple of yards away from the pin. And in a wind situation like that, you know, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to be plenty good enough to beat your opponent. So here's another one, same wind angle, a little bit less mile per hour. And I do believe this is the final replay, you know, but I just wanted to provide everybody with enough replays and enough wind angles for you to really see how this hole plays. And it's good to invest a little bit of time by watching something like this, so that way you're set up for success. You can see there less wind mile per hour, ball comes in a lot smoother, and we're 0.54 away this time, which again, you know, that's going to really be a way to dominate this hole. And our opponent was only a couple of yards away, so, you know, we needed to execute that shot. That is it for Eagle Peak, hole number 2, par 3. And so just to recap, you know, there's kind of another screenshot of how I play it. Best of luck, everybody. Thank you very much.